Okay, so I'm recording. Did I show my screen? Yeah. Okay. Coreplus. We've got a test one. Now, all of the VAs should have a test client, and with that test client, when we do either one-to-ones, that's the client that we use. So there's multiple ways to be able to go in and find a client. So that's the first thing. To find a client, you can type the client up here. Or to find the client, you can go to the client list and start to type it, and then it'll pull in there. The difference between the two is if you're searching for a closed client up here, it won't show. You have to go to the client list to find that client if it's closed. And if it's closed, when you search in here, you'll see whether it says, current. If it were closed, it would say closed in parentheses instead. All right, so that's a really important component. You'll find once the VA or the psychologist starts closing out clients, they're going to be like, they're gone from Coreplus, they're gone from Coreplus. And that's where they need to look. All right, so that's the first thing. The next thing is on the side that they have here, they can put in account information for receiving monies through Medicare and all of that kind of stuff. So that's a feature that they can use. The next one is an assets down here on the left-hand side. This allows them to track all of their assets. So if they have books, or if they have, that's the biggest thing, if they've got books or materials that they lease out to people or they sell, they can track all of that and they can attach it to a client name. There is an e-training video on how to use assets on the knowledge base. All right. Batch jobs allows them to post payments for multiple clients by using the system. Perfect example, when EAP, when they submit an invoice to us about what they want paid for EAP and we pay them, they can go in and post a payment using batch jobs. There is an e-training video on how to do batch jobs. All right. Here's another thing too under batch jobs. You can actually send an SMS to all outstanding accounts. When you go in and you do that, you can search all of your clients however you'd like, and then you can send it to anyone who, like if you just wanted to go to the clients that are outstanding that have money, or if you want to send it to the actual person, like the employer or LR. But in order for that to actually work correctly, all of the back-end data has to be tracked accurately. All right. So another thing in here, we've got purchases. So this is where if the business associate doesn't utilize an online accounting system like Xero or MYOB, they still have to supply us with their P&Ls. And in order to do that, they use Salesforce and enter in their purchases. If you go back into an old boot camp component, there's training around how to enter purchases. All right, we won't get into that. Most of them use Xero or their own accounting system, so they don't use purchases. But if they want accurate P&Ls, they enter the data into purchases. So if they bought any of the expenses that they've used, they need to enter it in here. But most of them use an online system, so it doesn't matter. There are different reports that they can use. We use these reports a lot on one-to-ones, and also when we're trying to mentor the business associates, contractors. So aside from the reports that Salesforce offers, Coreplus offers a lot of reports in and of themselves. and we'll go through and see what those look like. So you can see regular stats. Let me just go back up. This doesn't have a lot of data in it. So let's just see what we can have in there. Where you can see what their no-shows and that didn't reschedule, no-shows that did reschedule, canceled, but didn't reschedule, canceled, and rescheduled, completed, attended. So you can see these numbers, so they have their own ability to run these stats themselves in Coreplus. One of the other things too is you can always select it by practitioner. So if we wanted to look at these stats by practitioner, we just select the practitioner and generate. And you can see that this client or this clinician had 2 completed and attended appointments, which tallied at 100 and then 100%, and then it would break it down.
Can you just do that over?
Yeah, put the time frame, select the practitioner, or you can do it by practice. So to do it by practice, I think you have to select the site, but maybe it won't let you do that. No, you can't actually do it by practice. You can do it by practitioner or the whole group. Inactive clients is another one that I use with the business associates quite often. If they tell me that they need more clients, I want to see how many clients they have on their practitioner caseload, and how many of them haven't been seen in a certain amount of time. So if we were using real data, like this is going to show you the last time somebody was booked, show you who it was, who the practitioner is, and if they're marked current or not. So if this were one, let's just pretend this is one practitioner, and they have 2 days available to us, so 2 maybe 5-hour days. They have 17 clients on their caseload, and they're all current. I'm going to say to them, why aren't these clients being followed up? All right, so this is inactive client list. It's a really important tool to be able to ascertain what the follow-up is for the psychologists. All right. Booked, I don't ever actually use this, but it tells you how many number of appointments are booked by a practitioner between a certain period of time. This is a good way to be able to, if you're working out KPIs, you can utilize this report to see how many booked appointments versus how many get their availability, which then falls into the cash flow. So in the cash flow calculator, you have availability versus booked, and then you're going to understand that. Danielle Pastor understands even any of the terminology I'm using right now, but that's okay. This is one way of looking at those KPIs. Deleted appointments are really important. If they're deleting, nobody should be deleting appointments. And I think in one of the trainings, I don't remember which one, I go over when you should be, in the new induction manual, I go over when you should delete, reschedule, or cancel an appointment. Okay? Because there's very distinct times. These things, booked, deleted, unbilled, all filter in to the reports that they get on the virtual briefcase. So if this information isn't documented correctly, then the reports will be skewed. All right? And I'll go ahead and show you in the calendar settings and all of that, how all of that works. Unbilled is something that the business support team should be sending on a weekly or a monthly basis to make sure that when this is generated, or having the VAs do it on a monthly basis at the very minimum, company owned as well, it allows us to ensure that all clients who should be billed are billed. So unbilled looks at, did the client attend the appointment? And is there an invoice attached to that appointment? All right, so that's key because you can generate the appointment and not attach an invoice. If that's the case, you're skewing your own data. So you need to make sure that the process is followed to a T, or things will come up in this report and things will come up in your other reporting that won't be accurate. All right, so this unbilled one is needs to be run to ensure that every appointment that is billable has an invoice attached to it. Then you have billable time. You can run that report. I don't actually use that one either, and I don't use type breakdown either. Oh, what is that? So that's under calendar reports. Then you have client. I use this one quite a bit in terms of practitioner load. I want to see how many clients are on a specific practitioner's caseload. And again, you can do this by site, so you can break it down by practice, or you can do a specific practitioner. If I click generate, it's going to show me all of the clients that all of the clinicians, and then it breaks it down. So I know that Angelina has 3, Brad Pitt has 2, George Clooney has 2, Nicole Stevens has 6, Nicole Kidman has 2. If I want to really break it down even further, I can see who those specific clients are by the practitioner and say, look, why aren't you following up on these clients? You have enough clients on your caseload, blah, 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 and we can have conversations around that. It's also a good indicator of whether or not we're putting enough bookings in with the clinicians or not. All right, so if I say, look, who's this person? This is Nicholas Innes has the most number of clients, but I need to fill up, maybe George Clooney. Then we start to run CRT challenges to say, hey, look, we need George Clooney filled up instead of Nick. So I don't want to turn them off because I don't have availability to be on. But what I would like is for us to ensure that we get more and more bookings in with this particular practitioner so that they take up a bigger piece of the pie. All right, so this is another really important tool that I use with the business associates. I don't use any of these other ones. You can break it down by site if you want for a referrals list. Newly added is something that the VAs use as well. They'll use this to compare their MAUs to that MAU transaction report that they get every week to what's actually in Salesforce or in Coreplus. They can store their own marketing source in with the client as well. So I'll show you that. And then of course they can run a birthday report if they want to do something with birthdays. Now another report that's down here on the left-hand side are client events. So I don't actually use this one. But if they want to see who's logging in, doing what, and what's going on within their system, they can actually run that. This one used to be really important. So we know this one just tracks who's logged on, what they're doing. It's just a safety measure. This one used to be when we were charged per minute. You could see how much you would be charged because it would log how long people were logged on for. If you want to see how many SMSs are going out for a period of time, you can run that report that are automated and then manual. So the manual will be ones that CRT send out. The VAs can actually discern between automatic ones sent by the system as a report reminder or manual ones sent out by CRT.
Tash, do my practitioners have access to all this information online just because I need to see it? Is there a level of
Yeah, I can tell you that. It's kind of, I don't know what it looks like. I'll have to log in to see them, but I'll show you, or you can see this your settings, and we'll get into that. So another thing in here are the reports. Daily banking should be run every day. I can tell you that probably 0 of all of the VAs are running this daily banking. No, I apologize. I know for a fact I've got one. Daily banking allows, those are all of your flows. It tracks the number of information so that when you settle your terminal matches this. Now you're using your float for that, so the float tracks all of the clients they've seen, how much money they've collected, and how they collect it. The daily banking does the same thing. All right, so your manual float system shouldn't be done, should be using this. It shows you how much cash you've banked, any of the invoices that you've generated. This is a familiar tool. If anyone is in the support team, we utilize how much invoices are generated. So this is something we do all the time. This is another really important report, is your debtors. This should be run monthly. Business associates, when you meet with someone one-to-one, we should have an understanding of where their debtors sit. And if you generate that debtors report without putting anything in there, it'll list every client and the breakdown. There is an e-training video on how to run a debtors. Don't use service breakdown. Profit and loss, if they're entering their purchases and posting all of their income in there, like when a client comes and they post the payment, this is their profit and loss. This is where that generates all of that. Then you can see what your expenses are, wages, and I don't use anything with the client breakdown. The next thing is a Medicare report. I have never used this. The VAs who use Medicare as an online claiming tool might use this, and if they do, you can get feedback with how they use it, but I have never used the Medicare reports thing ever. Then you have add-ons. So the add-ons have multiple things in there. So of course you've got the virtual briefcase, which gives all of the information. This is how they change their practice waiting panel. So if they've got a clinician in there that they want to change from, seeing clients, not seeing clients, but the waiting panel actually will feed in how they show on the wheel. So say you have 3 practitioners in the same practice that show the same appointment time on the same day. So I've got Tuesday at 2 o'clock, I've got Brad, Angelina, and George. The waiting panel actually will shift Brad first if he's 1, Angelina 2, and George 3. If they want George first, they shift him to 1, and then Brad and Angelina. So this is how the VAs manipulate their own contractors in that waiting panel. So if they're 1, if they have the same appointment time at the same day, at the same time, that person will come first. On the wheel, first appointments come first. So this waiting panel doesn't matter if the appointment times are available at the same time. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we'll ask them to wait them. So say if they've got 2 or 3 contractors working on the same day, wait them. If you stagger your contractors like you should be doing, you shouldn't have that problem. Because Brad would come up on Mondays, Angelina's going to come up on Tuesdays, George will come up on Thursdays, you then extend your availability, have no overlap. All right, so this is their waiting. This is also yes. If they're new, we can turn on and off whether or not they're taking new clients or existing clients. All right, really important tool. Another thing in there is their profile. So the profile allows them, this is the same information that comes up on the decision wheel. If it's not highlighted, they won't get bookings for it. It's a really cool tool and technique, but if they're wanting to dabble in presenting issues, they can turn it on and off. The recommendation is, I guess the big thing is you've got a lot of factors with the decision wheel. So one thing is you've got availability. So we have our availability here. We've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. All right. Hope I used the green one. That's what people want to know. I just realized it. So you've got Monday. All right. I'm not working Mondays, so now I've been knocked off the wheel for these days, so I'm not working them. So I'm only available in my schedule on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right? So you've got this funnel that really happens. So this is everything. This is all presenting issues. and all days and times. The less days I see, the further down this funnel I get. Presenting issues, the less I have ticked, the further down this funnel I'm getting. So if I'm only available 1 day a week, and I only see children, which we've had a half a year, I'm here. Yep. I'm not going to get any bookings, but by shoot down lot. So if they want more bookings, they need more presenting issues and more days available so that they can move up this funnel.
So for example, the practitioner who only says children on Tuesdays.
Yep.
But I have no other sites who see children.
Yep.
They'll still come off as the first preference.
No.
Depends what day the inquiry is coming through, depends on whether.
If the inquiry comes through on a Thursday and they're not available until Tuesday, you've got a million other sites.
They're
showing
going
different
to be on a
locations.
big page.
We'll start showing different locations.
Yeah.
So if you want your sites to compete, they need to be up here on this funnel. So if they only see children and that's their presenting issue, this part might be down, but then open them up.
Basically, the more they do, the more they
Anybody that has longer than a 1 day gap, 1 or 2 day gap between the days of their in session will generally have a lower probability of obtaining booking as well, because they're not covered. Generally speaking, you'll have like, it'll be like the first 2 or 3 pages you'll skim through when you take a phone call, and if there's no different names or practices that come up, you'll know that those are the 3 practices that you're working with. And within that, you start to form an idea of who you should be placing that client with based on what's populated there. So while CRT will remember that, like, we need to be pushing appointments here, we need to be focusing there, the decision wheel still makes a decision. That's why it's called a decision. So, yeah.
So what I always tell the VAs is, even if they don't want to be seeing their referral source, if they are comfortable working with that diagnosis, open it up. What you'll find is you're not going to get too many, but anything outside of anxiety, depression, and troubles. But if you do find, let's say I'm like, I don't really want to be working with family counseling, but I'll open it up. If you do find that you get a lot of those referrals, go in and untick it. Handle those clients on your caseload. Once those presenting issues are gone, open it back up. This is a really great tool that's not being utilized enough.
Another question about that is, I haven't been able to work out how I receive my site's decision there. I can go onto mine.
Yeah.
Profile and open there.
Network profiles.
Start typing in their name and show you the profile.
Anyone can actually use it.
Yeah, just make sure that if you click anything, you don't save.
Okay, yeah, sure. Because I'll read up to the sunset or such and such, because I haven't been able to just view it on there.
Not
I
paying
all
full
fine.
price.
I should be able to read Coreplus to ask them about that, and they couldn't answer.
It's not good. It's virtual briefings.
Ah,
This is a virtual briefing add-on.
okay.
So we're on add-ons,
Okay.
virtual briefings. This feature, that network profile,
It's my favorite.
is not available to business associates.
It's available to me.
It should be. Well, we'll log on to the little time.
I can't get into it online.
Okay, well, whenever you can. Another add-on is Medicare. So if all of the company-owned locations should be using Medicare online claim, because the payment comes in the same day. And this is how they go through and do it. There is a how-to on the knowledge base on how to set this up. The next add-on on here is secure messaging. Secure messaging is free for the BAs to sign up, free to send out. It costs $1 for the BAs to receive any messages. I would recommend that everyone you sign up for this and start corresponding to GPs who they get this, but you don't have to. See Coreplus help if you want more information on the add-ons for that, because we haven't rolled that out to the BAs yet. Health Engine, we're using this as an internal thing at the moment, but all the BAs have access to it, unfortunately. But this pushes out your details to Health Engine, but when you set up a new contractor, we do it for you, so you don't have to worry about it.
On some of my practitioners' Health Engines, keep on their availability. Yeah, on some it's not. So should I go through and tick off on my practitioners?
Can you take that offline while we're recording?
Yep, sorry.
That's okay. So Tyro is how we should be doing our internal payments through FPOS and Private Health, because Tyro allows, when they generate the invoice, Tyro automatically speaks to Coreplus, so they don't have to manually enter in the amount, which will make sure that when they generate the invoice for 130, they don't type $13 into the FPOS machine. They speak to one another. If all the locations aren't signed up for Tyro, they should be. But that's go through. Xero is the online accounting package, and this add-on is to show how to sync Xero to Coreplus. Most VAs are using Xero. Quite honestly, company owned should be using Xero. All right, so that's what you have with your add-ons. Then you have your refers, and this is just where they add the refers for any GPs that are coming in to link that into the client file. And we'll get into that in a bit. Then you have your settings. Now this is where, to answer your question, Paula, earlier, what can my contractors see? You set that up in your settings. So you have access and feature permissions. I think this is where it is. You can untick by client or by clinician what they're allowed to see and what they're not allowed to see. All right, so you might say yes or no, depending on it. So you need to go in and see what the features are set up in there. And then there's a bunch of different things in here in terms of setup. And I'll record a different video for this. Account details, this is something that's really important when the setups are happening. Here in the username, you need to have either a C for clinical psychologist. Oh, won't let me save it. A G for generalist, or PRO. P? Oh, I said that. You said no.
What?
I don't know.
P for Prof.
Okay.
Oh, maybe principal, but maybe that's not it.
You told me they were going to get confused with it, so I can tell them for the PRO.
I don't even understand why we can't do P.
Because you told me not to.
No, it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter.
Either way.
The principal site doesn't attribute to a different fee. The whole purpose
Yeah, it does. Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does, but it's mainly based on whether it's clinical.
I bet that's why.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's,
so that they get confused.
Because you're the one who told me they were going to get confused.
yeah, I know, but I don't understand the stupidity behind that, because it should just be P for Prof, C for clinical, G for general, and if it's a principal psychologist, it will be listed in service fee somewhere. But it's not a blanket rule.
So what we need to make sure is that in the users that has that information. So when we set them up, that has to happen. You saw in our one-to-one with Heidi, it wasn't set up properly. People were being quoted incorrectly. So that now is fixed because now she's got the C's in there. All right. So that's an important component with that. You also have access to your invoices as they're generated by Salesforce or through Coreplus, and any additional storage that you have. and what you've used up. So that's just the dashboards down the side. You have your calendar, files. Files is a really important component because you have your own files that you can upload. So I don't know what these photos are or why these photos are there, but you can put in your own files as a clinician. And then what you can do as well, and for Company Out, it's a really great example because we have shared files in here for all of the files. They don't have access to the knowledge base. So anything that's important on the knowledge base, you pull down and you upload here. And you allow them to use that as a tool to communicate for all of the files that they need. Client registration form, the EAP forms, annual leave forms, anything that you want them to have, this is where it's going to be. So all the clinicians can log in and get on the shared files. Communication is basically an email aspect that you can use. It's just an Outlook component. You can send the SMSs, which is what CRT use. You can send an email. The secure messaging that we said is set up for when you want to email a GP, you can set it up that way. Another component that's really important under this communication is the notice board. And if you'll see on the front, on the dashboard, you've got a notice board right here. And quite honestly, this notice board could be something that CRT uses to communicate with that whole practice. If you go in and under communication and you go to the notice board, this comes up on the dashboard for everyone to see. All right. So that notice board should be used. It's not. Really great feature that's not being used. Another thing within there are organizational tasks. So again, we were talking about if things are being completed that you want your staff to be doing, blah, blah, blah. This is a great way to communicate with the staff for that.
Which doesn't then go into the
yeah. I don't know if it goes into the calendar. You'll have to mess around with it. But the tasks is another good thing that we're not using. I don't actually know what these, I don't know what that is either. But there's a million features. Search, this allows you to search Coreplus for an invoice number or anything, a client, whatever you'd like. You just type it in there, it's going to pull everything out. Of course, help and log off. Help is a good way to get a hold of Coreplus. Another thing I would recommend is if you need help and you want to call them because they no longer have their contact number anywhere. The 1300 number is listed on Chatter on their business associate group on the left hand side of the panel. So I would recommend looking there. So that is the basics around Coreplus for the main subheadings. And then we'll do other series in terms of getting into building the new client, linking the appointment invoice, putting in an appointment note that contacts CRT so CRT knows not to book until something's settled. I'll get into all of those in the next video.